Okay. Yes. Now we have to be good because we're on camera.
Now we're official. Now we're
Yeah. Now
official.
there's a living record of it. Uh,
And how
how's your
much
day?
time do you need? I mean, I'm open. I'm just asking so I can
Um,
uh,
however
calculate
long
my answers.
however long it takes to get through the 11 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Do you need
Yes.
uh do you need anything before we start, or are
No,
we
I got my
ready?
chocolate here. I got chocolate. Enzo's here. And that's it. I'm good to go.
Okay. Oh, oh, I can't.
Sit. 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 Lay down. Lay down, Enzo. Lay down. Enzo's
Okay. It's being weird. Okay. Hold on. I need to pull it up on my I need to pull the questions up on my phone because it won't okay.
Yes.
Are you ready? Okay. So, first off, tell me about a time you struggled with a work-life balance. Did you manage to solve the problem? And if you did manage to solve the problem, how did you do it?
You know, I don't think these are one of those things that way there is a magic solutions, right? Because managing work and work balance and work-life balance, it's always a constant moving target. I always struggle with that, number one. Um, Even though I do feel that I create enough time for myself, um, and sometimes I create space for myself where I distract myself with little silly things that they really regenerate my mental health and my own ability to be connected and grounded. Everybody knows I like to go home and pull weeds from my yard. Really, the hard labor, actually, actual physical labor, sometimes is what grounds me. But do I have a do I have reached a point where I can say, yes, I always strike a balance between the two? I wouldn't say that's the case because honestly, times offer different challenges. So you always have to readjust your own mental health and care for yourself with the work you do. Um, Saying that, however, as you know very well, Michelle, I do a work that really identifies with who I am as a queer person. So the struggle for me sometimes is definitely trying to turn things off because we carry this responsibility and weight for what's happening in the world. Um, so it's always a struggle, but I always advocate for our folks and the people I work with to really be mindful about creating those healthy, joyful moments for yourself, whatever that is. It could be acting goofy for a few minutes, or taking a whole day off, or walking on the beach, or spending time with your pets, or doing a makeup tutorial, right? Anything works as long as we do it intentionally and have fun with it. Um, so I think everyone needs to find where is their line, where is that place. The moment they were losing control, not control, but losing um, hope, the moment they were feeling desperate, isolated, alone, that's the time we really need to take a serious break to reground ourselves, right, in who we are. Um, so yes and no. My answer, yes, I did find a time, a place where I can feel like comfortable about it, but I'm always constantly challenging that line between balance.
Great.
Yeah, I hope that made sense. I didn't confuse people too much.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Uh, okay, next question. Uh,
Yeah.
can you tell me about a time that you had an idea that improved the center, or yeah,
Okay.
uh,
Let me go
in
in charge
summary.
here for a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Do I have Jerry's cell phone or?
Jerry, no, that's Jerry's office phone.
Oh, yes. Sorry. It's on the office over there.
Okay.
Oh, where is it? Oh my gosh. Sorry, you see, more chocolate. Start going around bringing chocolate. Okay, mamma mia. So I'm sorry, can you repeat that? This is gonna take even longer, I guess.
That's all right. Tell me about a time that you had an idea that improved your organization.
Mm, ideas always come from collaboration with others. That they're never born into a vacuum. So I'm privileged to say that there's been a lot of ideas that once brought to fruition were benefiting our community. Definitely building the center was my idea. Moving into the space was an idea that, yeah, generated by BIM. I also collaborated with a lot of leaders that you know very well. Um, I think that's why I love my job because I'm sitting in a space where I can see a lot of my ideas coming to fruition and feeling that have benefited, our community. And there are others that have done less impact than I was expecting. Sometimes we spend so much energy on things that we think this is great, this is gonna make a difference, this is gonna change the world, and then they fall flat in, into the floor. And then there are other times that we move through our gut feelings that there are little changes that actually have a ripple effect and impact that we have never been able to even envision before. So specifically, I would say for me was really the idea of growing big with our LGBT center, and we had that vision since the beginning. And even when we were challenged, and I was challenged in the vision, like, well, Oceanside doesn't have the resources to do that, or there are not enough gay people, queer people, or there is not enough money, or there was always a negative trend behind. I try not to listen to it and just move forward, just with the passion of creating community. So I think perhaps the existence of the center is what I can claim as an idea that brought an impact in the community. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Um, in what specific ways do you motivate your team or your group, uh, or
Mm,
any time that you have is there a specific thing that you do to help motivate people?
I should ask you that. Now you know me better. I would say I like to light things up, and when people make a mistakes, not to make a big deal about it. I like to support who they are as people because we are not our mistakes, we are not our limitations, we are not that sometimes the things we say or even we do, we're more complex than that. So I like to bring joy, but also trust. I like to give people the opportunity to love themselves and trust themselves for who they are so they can be more comfortable about the work they are doing and also to give them credit really constantly. I think that's how I like to motivate because I truly believe I truly learn from my team every day. So it's not just something that you do because it's the right thing to do for a leader. Like, you always have to praise the people. It's something that I truly experience because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my team. So I motivate them by believing in them truly. And when people do screw up, because it happens to the all of us, I don't focus on that. I focus more on the energy, what they're trying to do better, and what they mean exactly as they work in a collective experience. So I don't know if you're looking for a particular examples, but definitely teamwork, definitely breaking down the barrier of separations that sometimes institutions force us to have. When I started this nonprofit, I was always reminded that, well, you're the executive director, you had to do certain things in order to be respected, you had to speak in a certain tone, you had to show certain things and or traits. I think my leadership comes from the experience of believing in people and also not believing in barriers that the hierarchy, right, that is imposed on us sometimes from institutions that have failed us. So I don't know. I hope that's a clear answer, but I like to motivate the team based on believing in what they do and not focusing just on, the little steps they're taking.
Mhm. Could you elaborate a little bit on your leadership style?
Collaborative. I believe in collaborative effort. I do not believe. I think you earn the label to be a leader. You do not place it on others just because you're in a position of leadership. As an executive director, I could say, well, I'm a leader because I'm executive director. To me, it's been a different experience. I became an executive director because I took responsibilities on and a vision and hope and supporting others and not making it about myself, right? So I do not build, I know that works in other spaces, but I do not believe in a leadership that's imposed or by the titles that we carry. And I believe it needs to be proven every day. Leadership is not a static point of arrival. I think it's a journey that sometimes can be more evident than others, but it's a constant research of doing better, bettering ourselves, and supporting others. In my goal of leadership, if I'm able to build the leaders of tomorrow that will replace me, that's how I measure my success. If I tomorrow something happened to me and no one will survive the center because my leadership role is so fundamental that not being here will crash it. I think I will have failed my goal to build a leadership that is actually able to do the work I do, if not even better. So it's really collaborative. That's how I believe in leadership. I believe in transparency. And I believe in sharing everything and the decision, why the decisions are made the way they are made, and not to leave any empty, what is that, unknown, right? I don't want Michelle to come and say, I agree with Max, but I don't know why he made that decision. I don't understand why he asked me to do this instead. He never explained it to me, or he never told me that I should, that to me is really problematic when people don't understand this. So because otherwise they will never be able to own it as their own. And so they will always end up working for others and never being themselves, in that journey. So that's what I believe in.
Hmm. Yeah. So this a lot of these are probably I didn't write these questions. These were given to me
Uh-huh.
and so
Sure.
the next one is what strengths do you believe that you have as a leader and what weaknesses do you have as a leader?
Oh my gosh, I could count so many. I mean, in terms of weaknesses, I think sometimes I tend to over-explain too much things. Um, because the reality is not because I think other people can get it, but because I'm the one that needs to be convinced first about things. More than, and as I explain things, I really always seek for feedback and understanding, right? So, but I think that sometimes a few times people told me, Max, I get it. You don't have to explain it to me. Just tell me what to do. And that's so contrary of who I am, right? But when people ask you that, I need to listen because for some people, that's how they function. I just need to know that from A, I need to go to B. Don't give me the whole possible routes to get there. I just need to know one way, right? And so I need to be more, I think, in my weaknesses, and more understanding of that. I think I do a great job of meeting people where they are. I think that's my strength. I rarely get mad to people, especially in my team. And if I do, it's never long lasting. Um, I would say there is one strength that is also a weakness, is that I tend to forgive and forget. Um, so it's a strength because truly I'm able to collaborate with a lot of folks, even that have done me or my community sometimes wrong, because I'm ready to move forward. But it becomes a limit when if you apply a short memory, because then they might fail you again, right? Here we're not talking about enemies of the LGBT people, right? I know my boundaries. I'm talking about people that are in the same side where you are, but sometimes they failed you, not because they haven't done something, but because they are maybe very focused on themselves and not the community. So, they betray you, some for lack of better words.
Mm.
So I would say my strength is to believe in people and give them an incredibly benefit of the doubt. You had to prove me wrong so many times before I can lose faith on a person. But that's also a limit because some people get it way before me. And because they can see those red flags that sometimes I tend not to see, or I avoid them because I want to give, hope and space and to people. So I wish I knew I would be better on that because it would have saved me a lot of times in a lot of aspects of my life. Could be personal with relationships, it could be at work. Um, so I think that's the biggest one for me. Mhm.
Yeah. Who has been your greatest influence as a leader?
Huh. Gosh, so many people. I know when people are asked this question, they go and look in the past about a book they've read, a social justice leader they have followed, someone in the history of our civil rights movement. I think it's all of that and none of them at the same time. And when I say that, it's again this concept of leadership that I think we need to dismantle a little bit, where it's not a static experience. I take leadership from anyone. It could be, and I hope that doesn't sound cheesy, but truly, I'm inspired by the resilience of people, I don't know, living on the streets and making it every day. And I feel like, oh, wow, I would have never had the strength to do that, right? And how they manage their life. Um, I can take experience from that or from people that have where I'm standing on their shoulder because of what they have opened for me, to do. So leaders in the LGBT community, Martha P. Johnson, many others. But leadership is very complex. So I don't have one person in particular. I can be thankful for my parents to be very secular and give me the opportunity to grow without the prejudice of believing in an institution like religion that had limited my view and possibility. So I'm very grateful for them and for their teachings, but also a lot of my peers and coworkers. They can be way younger than me, actually. They don't have to be necessarily more experienced or wiser, than myself. So I wish I could give you a name, but it's many, many, many people in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's fine. However you want to answer these questions is yeah, there was a reason why I wanted to interview you because I knew that it would be good. So, um, so this next question, you kind of touched on it already, but so like you can elaborate on it. What are 3 or 4 actions you believe are essential to enable others to be successful?
When I read that, I think meet where people are and trying to understand what's important for them. What is their view of being successful? What it means to them being successful is different than what it could mean for me, right? So first of all, understanding that so that we do not apply or coerce people in believing that if you do this and this and this, you'll be successful versus other things. So meeting people where they are and understanding what success means for Michelle, for instance, right? Um,
Mhm.
and then once I learned that, really understanding what it means for you to go from this place to another place, whatever that progress means for them. Empower them. I believe on empowering people instead of telling them what to do. Empower them to trust on themselves, on their instinct, apply techniques in the process, which, for some people means focusing less on themselves and more on others. I think that's extremely important. So believe in yourself and being authentic also means connecting with the people around you. Otherwise, it becomes just about ourselves. I could become a very successful, I don't know, salesperson or someone who makes a lot of money. That's success, right? To the eyes of a lot of people. But then you're completely disconnected from who you are as an individual. You can do great things, but you're not in touch with yourself. So I think trusting people and giving them the tools to first trust themselves and believe in themselves is one of the greatest gifts I also received in the past when I was a teenager, my early age. I remember there was this teacher, an Italian teacher, that believed on the capability of me doing good and better, even when it came to academic outcomes, because at the time I was failing any possible class you could ever imagine. This Italian teacher said, really gave me really the trust to believe that I could do good, because at that point I had given up. I given up that I could do anything good because I was not academically good. And that teacher gave me that, empower me to believe in myself. And guess what? I didn't even have to study more than I did before. I started doing really well in school. That was high school time and then college. And then all of a sudden my experience with school changed. I became very good with little effort just because I started believing in my capability to learn and to understand what I was studying. So, yeah, I think meet people where they are, empower them to believe in themselves, and celebrate their success as they're moving forward because they can look completely different than yours. You know, that's what I see.
Yeah, we're almost done. We only have a few questions left. Next one is, what advice do you have for building trust in a team or a group? You've already kind of touched on this, but
Right. For building trust, right? I think you need to, I think if you are leading an experience or a team, you need to show people, you need to be hands-on and be able to do the things that you're asking others to do. Sometimes I see too many leaders that just because their role in their career has evolved. I'm writing grants. I can raise $1 million in the community, so I do this kind of work. Yet I still thrive in satisfaction when I go out my office and pick up the trash, um, or cleaning up a bathroom. I don't see that as a undermining of my, oh my God, I can't believe I'm still doing that. Is that a good use of my time? Of course not. If I do it every day, all the time, I need to raise money for the organization, so I can't spend money cleaning the bathrooms. But at the same time, there is honor and pride in actually supporting your team even that way, showing them that um, there is nothing offensive from doing the ritual work of, for instance, I'm bringing up cleaning because the first thing that comes to me, but could be anything else that's considered entry level, for lack of a better word. To me, that not only allows you to stay in touch with your team, but also to always understand the challenges of these tasks because they can be challenging. And I think you earn the respect of your team because they see you not undermining their own labor. like as if to be seen as something that, I will never do that anymore because now I'm better or because I had this position or whatever. I really invite leaders really, and I see too many disregarding the work of their own team just because it's an entry level kind of, work. And then they isolate themselves or they pride themselves to really be truly with their team, not just because they're giving them directions, but because they can really understand their challenges and pain and suffering and so forth. So to me, that's really, I truly, truly believe on that. I don't have to remind them myself again because I enjoy to be with the people that I work and see them and value them for truly who they are as human beings first, and then their title, their skills, and everything else. So, yeah. I don't know. I think that comes first on everything you do, you know. Make sense?
Yeah, makes
Oh.
perfect sense. Um, what is something you are most proud of accomplishing?
Well, I always told you, Michelle, I know this shouldn't be personal towards you, but when I met you the first time, I said, if I can build an organization where a Michelle can come and work and thrive, that's what I'm proud of. Um, Um, yeah, and it doesn't stop there, but I think I'm proud to have accomplished the creation of space that continues to evolve and do better, and we can always do better. But also, every time I look around and I see leaders in the community, people that really have a lot to teach and share, I say, oh my God, if I can have that person on my team, that means we're doing good things. Attracting people like yourself. Like when I say that, people with not just resilience, not just challenges that have experience, but really the humanity that bring into this space. To me, every time we hire a person that comes with that, it's a compliment, to our leadership, to our space, and so forth. And so I feel that's what I feel accomplished for that, and I measure it that way a little bit. So yeah. So that's it.
Great. Last thing, do you have any final remarks about leadership that you would like to add?
Hmm. Um, I already share, right, that leadership is earned, it's not given. Leadership is not a title, never been. I think there are natural leaders that also spontaneously are attracting people to do things. Others that have to work a little bit more on themselves in order to get to that. I think everything goes in the way of as long as leadership is really loving the people that you are meant to organize and direct. Um, and it means being extremely, extremely generous with your time, your passion, and it's not about putting yourself second because not even that. It's just like focusing in others people's success because then will come yours too. So I would just say focus on others people's success and not on your own because once people succeed, then you'll be grateful to have been able to support others, and that's what leadership looks like. It's not the other way around. So yeah, that's how I experience it. That's it.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Yay.
Uh, oh Michelle, you're
Thank
amazing.
you so much. Okay, I'm going
That's
to stop the
it. What
recording.
are you gonna do?